Hey everyone, welcome to this episode of Mismatch. So today I have Calissa Ngozi, who is an award-winning mental health educator, speaker, and single mom whose honest take on love and healing has been featured on everywhere and everything that you can imagine, including CTV, Your Morning, BT, The Social, CHCH, and more. She's been recognized with multiple awards, including the Black Diamond Ball Award, Niagara's 40 Under 40, and brings over 2 decades of experience in helping people. From setting boundaries that attract to spotting patterns that protect and rebuilding confidence after heartbreak. Calissa knows everything, and she's also an author. She is also an educator, a professor. I could go on and on and on. Calissa, it's so good to have you here.
Oh, thanks for having me, Nicole.
Oh my gosh, I don't even know where to start. Let's start with your status so that everybody knows where you're at. What is your status right now, currently?
My status right now is I am dating with intention.
Okay.
Yeah, that's where
Tell
I'm
me
at.
more.
You know, it's funny. I have now been single for 6 years.
6
I was
years?
calculating in my head. I'm like, oh my goodness, I'm going to have to buy cats soon. Like, I feel like that's where I'm at.
Girl, you are not there yet, okay? You are not there yet.
Oh my goodness. Having to try and navigate what this looks like being single. Like, I've been in relationships in and out. I've been in situationships, whatever you want to call them. And, you know, it's really it's been hard. It's, I think, created this level of anxiety because at the end of the day, what is it that I want? What is it that I want in a person? And where the hell am I going to find it?
Yeah. So what is it that you're looking for? And how do you think, I would say over the last 6 years then that you're kind of looking for this? What have you learned? What have you gathered?
You know, what I've gathered is that I got married really young. So I was 22 when I got married.
That is very young.
Yeah, it is really young. And now I'm going to be 41 next month.
Wow.
And, you know, I was married for almost 13 years. And I don't regret that marriage at all because it taught me a lot of things. It brought me my twins. But really, I was in chapter 22, Calissa. Chapter almost 41, Calissa, is a completely different human being.
For sure.
And even when we separated, I think I was 35 at that time or 36. And, you know, I'm entering into middle adulthood at that point. And I've got a lot of things going on. And I just know now that I'm trying to find my person. And that person keeps evolving, you know, every year that I enter into more singlehood. And every relationship that I sort of enter, I know more now what I want, what I'll put up with, and what I'm prepared to give.
I could not agree with you more. I mean, I've been with my boyfriend for the last 2 years and I'm 34. And I can honestly say that like dating at this age, I think back to like dating in my 20s even, and I'm literally like a completely different person. I approach things completely differently. So I can totally empathize with how, you know, that when that change is happening and you are evolving, you also have different expectations, you know,
Oh,
because
yeah.
it's a different mindset, I think, also in finding someone where you really are not willing to settle or deal with shit. And, you know, you want someone to meet you at your level. You're not looking to like raise someone, which is what I think like at a younger age, you're kind of more willing to do. Where at this age, you're like, no, if you can't meet me here, like, shoot.
You know what, though? I'm going to challenge that notion.
Tell me.
Because for me, I was dating like I was still a teenager because
Okay.
before my husband, I'd only dated one other person.
Oh.
So really my mind frame cognitively was still stuck in that late teenhood. We started dating when I was 20 years old. So I didn't have experience. I only really knew him and what love
Okay.
was between us.
But that's really beautiful.
It is until it wasn't. Right? So it's about me realizing that I want more for myself and I
Yeah.
wanted more for him as well.
Yeah.
Right. And, you know, I even still remember the conversation that we had. And it was very much, I am not your forever and you're not mine. Right. Because I knew that we were no longer good together in a relationship. So for me, you know, I really struggled with finding my place in being single, being a single mom, but also trying to navigate the dating world because I didn't really have to before.
Yeah.
And the dating world in 2025 is a dumpster fire. like raging dumpster fire. And it's like,
Yeah.
who hurt you? Like what happened? Like, do I need to pray for you? Do I need to throw holy water at you? Like, what is
Yeah.
happening?
Yeah.
Because
Well, there's so many years that have lived with so much shit.
Oh my goodness. And you know what we're doing? And you know what? I was guilty of this, I think, at the beginning as well, is we're bringing in all of our shit and all of our baggage
Yes.
without talking it out first and
Yes.
properly healing.
Yes.
And if you don't heal and you're bringing that all to the next person, you're not going to succeed.
No, the relationship will never be great and you will never find happiness because you haven't figured that out truly for yourself yet.
Yeah, absolutely. And also, you can't love someone else if you don't love yourself. And I think for some people, it takes a lot longer to realize that and accept it. And I was one of those people. I thought I had this to offer and that to offer, but then I started with the self-doubt because once you hit those dating apps, oh my goodness, I could write a book. Maybe my
Have you been
next
on
book.
all the apps? Yeah.
I have been on most of them.
Okay.
Everything from eHarmony to Match to Bumble to Hinge to Facebook dating.
Okay.
And it's the same people, just some are willing to pay and some are not, right? So you think that you're elevating yourself, but no, it's everybody's the same.
It's the same.
Yeah.
And so what's the hardest thing in like navigating all of that? Because it's quite overwhelming, I can imagine. See, for me, I have fun playing on my girlfriend's app.
Yeah.
I was like, swipe, yay, like, whatever.
Yeah.
But when I think about if I were to dive into that, it's definitely, I would be apprehensive.
Oh, and I tell my people that are married or they're coupled,
Yeah.
do not leave that relationship unless you absolutely need to and it is not fixable because the grass isn't always greener on the other side.
No, it's
right?
not. It's not.
Yeah. So it's like that realization of, okay, like I'm now single, I'm dating with intention. When I'm seeing someone, I definitely try and put as much into that potential relationship as possible. I can't serial date. I cannot date.
I was just going to say, do you date multiple people at once?
I can't do that.
Okay.
And I think it's just, that emotional
with that. Yeah.
stability that I need. And I mean, don't get it twisted. If we haven't had that conversation that, are we boyfriend and girlfriend? Are we exclusive? Then really anybody is free to continue to date because that's what you're dating for is to
figure
find
it
your
out.
person.
Right.
Yeah. But I mean, not everybody has that same mind frame. So it's about finding your match.
So in kind of meeting different people, what is one of the maybe warnings that you would give to someone who is like on this journey, what to look out for? Because there's a lot of different kinds of people on these apps.
Yes. I think my number one red flag, as we call them, is love bombing.
Okay.
Right? So if this person is confessing their undying love for you almost immediately, you're my person. I can't believe I found you. This
What's
is incredible.
Almost immediately? Like how soon is too
After
soon?
the first couple of dates.
Okay.
And it's like, I need to send you this text message because I can't get you off my mind. And when they try and lock you down immediately as well, that is a red flag. Why you need to lock me down? It's been 2 dates. Like slow your roll, bro.
Yeah.
Like what are we doing here? Right? So that's not to say that instant connection isn't a thing, right? But you just need to be mindful. What is the purpose of them wanting to pursue this and move so quickly? Is it because they're moving with intention? Is it because they don't want you dating anybody else, but they still want to date other people? Or is it because, they're being real about their emotions and how they're feeling. And it's hard to tell the difference sometimes.
It is because I feel like, so how long do you think that I know there's no real time frame, but I mean, maybe just a little bit of time and sorts of questions that you can continuously kind of ask to verify that sort of information to figure out, oh, is this genuine or is this, not?
You look for consistency.
Okay.
Right? So there's also another term called breadcrumbing. So is he or she actually texting you on a consistent basis? I'm not talking about blowing up your phone all day.
I was
We
just
all
gonna
have
say,
jobs.
How consistent is consistent? Totally, because people
Daily.
need to work.
For me, it is
has
daily.
to be daily. Okay.
I need a morning check-in and
like
an
that.
evening lay down as well.
Me
And if
too.
I don't get that, then you're not my person.
Yeah.
Right? So, when I'm in the dating scene, those are the kind of signs that I'm looking for. And I'm not just talking the first 2 or 3 weeks. We're a couple months in, and are you still at that level? Are you still giving me everything that I need, in order to want this to work?
Yeah, that's a great That's a great tip. Consistency, I think, is really important.
Yes.
And not only with words, but actions as well.
Yes. Oh my goodness. You can feed me all of the lines you want.
Right.
Oh, baby, you're so beautiful. I'm going to take you away. We're going to do this together. We're going to do that together. But then put the proof is in the pudding.
Yeah.
Right. And
Yeah.
if, oh no, I can't, sorry. Like I have to break our date. There's that lack of consistency piece. And then it starts to throw up those red flags. I will tell you, when I was in my marriage all those years ago, I was secure enough that I never was afraid that my husband was going to cheat on me or step out on me. Being in the dating world, I have developed almost an anxious attachment style where if I don't hear from him for like a few hours, I'm like, oh, what's he doing? Why hasn't he messaged me?
Yeah.
And it can drive you insane.
It really can. And then you start spiraling real quick.
Yes.
And that's when then the crazy, I'll point, but like craziness comes out.
Yes.
And maybe it's very unlike you and your personality.
100%.
Because then you would just assume the worst. You're like, I know you have your phone on you. We were having a conversation.
Yes.
Why aren't you messaging me back? Did you look at it and close your phone? That means you're not thinking of me. That means you don't care to respond to me. Or
Yes.
you're dragging this on because you
Yes.
don't want to seem like you're eager. It's like a whole mental game.
It is a mind game. And let me tell you, I had to stop looking at WhatsApp because I would start to look at, well, he was online at 11:26 and I sent
when
that.
you pull it over to the side, you can see the
10:40.
check marks.
So how come he hasn't responded to me? So it's okay for you to look at WhatsApp and talk to everybody else, but not to me, right?
Yeah.
It's that spiral. So I
Totally.
had to say, Calissa, relax, right?
Yeah.
And then I also started using ChatGPT. Why isn't he answering me? What is the normal timeline before he needs to respond? And I'm like, oh my gosh, time to go back to therapy.
Yeah, that's what that is. That's a check and a reminder to, you know
Yes.
what, take a step back and don't, I feel like at a certain point in a relationship or when you're dating, the truth really does come out. And it's just a matter of like opening your eyes to that being revealed to you.
Yeah, and I think also I want to label that it can be age specific. So me being now 40, versus someone who's 36 versus someone who's 25.
Are you dating older, younger?
I have always dated older. That's
Okay.
always been my thing.
Me
Like
too.
my ex-husband and I, there's 11 years and 3 weeks between us. So
Okay.
always. The current person I'm seeing right now is 4.5 years older than me.
Okay.
And that's pretty close for me. Because normally I'm like, no, I want you much older. Because I
Yeah.
always think sophistication, you're more settled.
For sure.
Let me tell you something. The men on the apps that are in their 50s and 60s, and I don't date the ones in their 60s, but from what I've seen, they're just as bad as the ones in their 20s and their 30s. It's like,
Yeah.
I want my second life. I want to play the field. It's exhausting.
That is exhausting. I'm sorry you're dealing with that.
Yeah.
What you need is a setup, I feel like, Calissa.
You
I'm thinking right now in my brain, I'm like, you need a setup.
I need
From a friend of a
something.
friend of a friend's brother, sister's cousin's uncle, or whatever.
You know what? If the guy I'm seeing right now doesn't work out, then my number is open. Like it's funny too.
Well, if you're happy, then I hope it does.
Yes, and that's one of those things. And I was actually talking to my mom last night because typically when I'm dating somebody, I don't necessarily like to share it with everybody because then it's like, oh, just kidding. I'm
Yeah.
not actually seeing them.
I'm infamous for that.
Right? Oh my gosh. And I'm trying to live more with intention, but also not rushing things, right? And understanding that life is day by day and just enjoy things for what they are in the moment. But I also like to label things really early. So when I'm dating someone, right away, one of my first questions is, do you want more children? And if they
Interesting.
say yes, well, dude, I'm not for you because I've 6 years left of my sentence,
Yeah.
right? Like my kids are going to be in post-secondary education.
Yeah.
I'm not starting from, I don't know how to change
Yeah.
a diaper. I'm
Yeah.
not doing that.
Yeah, you've done it and you're good.
I'm
Yeah.
good. If you have kids, those are bonus kids, right? But then that's the other thing. If you have kids that are young, you're not for me. I can't
Yeah.
deal with you if you have a 2 or 3 or 4-year-old.
Because it's a different stage of life.
It's a different stage of life.
For sure.
Yeah.
So it's interesting dating as a single mom. Can I ask, is that something that you have on your profile? Is that something that you disclose right away?
100%.
Yeah.
100%. I do not share my children with potential partners, even if we've been dating for a long period of time. One of my biggest pet peeves in the dating world that I've seen other people do is introducing their kids too soon. What the
Yeah.
hell is wrong with you?
Yeah. I can
Right?
imagine that being a bit traumatizing and confusing for kids, especially if it doesn't
is.
work out and then it's the revolving door.
Mm-hmm.
It's like you got to treat that very differently.
Yeah, and that's my mental health piece, right? My professional piece is that I'm thinking these kids, if this doesn't work out, are also needing to go through that breakup the same way that you are.
Totally.
Because now they've forged some form of relationship with them. And now you're telling them, oh, no, sorry, mommy broke up with them or daddy broke up with her. Now what? Right? So they're not
Yeah.
allowed to see them anymore. What if they had kids and then they bonded, almost like
Right.
siblings? So
Yeah.
it's a lot that you need to consider when you're dating as a single parent.
So are these the sorts of conversations that you have up front with someone like right away?
You know what? Pretty soon in. So after a couple of dates, if I like sort of where things are going, like, what are you looking for? Like, are you looking for forever? Would you get married again? Because that's something I want. I want to get married again one day. And if the answer is, well, I'm not really sure, then that's enough for me. We're not working towards the same goal, right? We're getting older and we need to make decisions. And I'm not saying I'm walking down the aisle in a year from now. But I need to work. I keep using the same word, intention, right? That's my word. So if we're not on the same frequency, then we're not for one another.
Yeah, I love that. Because a lot of people, I think, hope for, but it's not a no.
Yeah.
Like it could be.
Exactly.
Or the door is still open. But like, I think in your heart of hearts, at that point, you really do know. You just are afraid to kind of almost admit it to yourself because you think you have something really great in front of you. You don't quite want to let go of.
They'll change their mind.
Yeah.
I'm gonna be the woman that changes their mind.
How many women have said that?
Oh my gosh.
I can't even I'm one of them for sure.
Yeah.
Oh, he'll change, he'll grow, he'll be different, he'll be better, or he'll want this. And
I just need to give him time and space and not push him.
Yeah.
But honey, if he's not meeting you where you're at, then he's not the one for you.
Yeah.
Right. And I often have felt myself when I'm, dating or when I was dating, why am I the right package at the wrong address?
That's a good one.
Right?
I really like that.
It's like I'm trying to show up, but it's not the right person. And I need to be okay with that.
Yeah, totally. So for you, how does that dynamic work? I'm curious with your ex-husband in kind of how you guys talk about dating. Because when you have kids together, that matters. Like,
it does.
You guys are forever tied. You forever have a relationship. And so how do you navigate that relationship and bringing someone new? Because I imagine that's like awkward, hard. You want to be sensitive because you still love and care for the person.
Oh, for sure.
But you also want what's best for you at the same time.
That's a really difficult situation to navigate. And, I'm blessed that I would say my ex-husband and I are knocking out of the park in terms of co-parenting. I would say 8 out of 10 most of the time.
Wow.
When he's not pissing me off.
That's amazing. Which, let's be real, every relationship that happens.
100%. But, early on we had conversations that were, whenever you're dating someone, but do not introduce them to the kids. I want to meet who you're dating. You should meet who I'm dating before they meet our kids.
That's a great rule.
Right? And even though it's been 6 years, neither of us have gotten to that point with anybody where we felt comfortable to introduce one another.
But that's it should make you feel good.
Yes.
Knowing that, there's a level of seriousness and respect there for both of you, that you're, you don't take that agreement or that understanding for granted.
Oh, for sure. And he knows I've been dating from jump, and he's been dating on and off, I'm sure. We don't really talk about it, but there is that respect piece. My kids are always, are you dating? Like,
I was just going to ask. So your kids are old enough to like know what's going on.
Oh,
so
they know.
They must ask you all the time.
Yeah. I remember I was dating somebody, and it was, we were kind of on and off for like a year and a half, and they had met him before, not as my boyfriend, but as someone that was like, helping me around the house, putting up a new fence, whatever. And I mistakenly, so this was about 3 years ago, so they would have been 9. They were getting off the bus and I was on the phone with him, and I'm like, all right, babe, I got to go. I'll call you later. And I didn't realize they had heard me say that.
The babe.
And immediately it was like, who are you talking to? Why would you call somebody babe? Are you dating somebody? Can I meet them? What do they look like? And it was like the 3rd degree. And I'm like, okay, I need to be more careful. Yeah.
Oh, I can't wait for that day. They're going to grill whoever walks through that door like nobody's business, protecting their mom. That's 100%. Really sweet. That's very, very sweet. The thought of being a single mom and leaving a marriage is really hard for a lot of people. I would argue that a lot of people stay in a relationship because they're more scared of what that looks like than what the marriage is. They would rather be unhappy than like wonder what is out there. Where for you was the coming to terms that you were willing to leave and realize that this isn't it?
Well, we had started to argue on an escalated basis. So there was fights all the time and we fought on vacation. So who fights on vacation? And I mean, I think those were sort of the realization moments. And, I had sort of tried to break things off a couple of times, but it was like, well, maybe I'm going through a phase. Let's go for counseling and then things would be okay until they weren't. And, I worked for Children's Aid for 4 years.
Oh,
And so
wow.
I've seen it all. And for me, it was the realization that I need my kids to be from a broken home, not in a broken home. I can't have my kids seeing how their father and I are treating one another and thinking that that's okay and that this is what
Hmm.
a normal relationship is. Mommy and daddy sleeping in separate bedrooms, that's not normal,
Hmm.
right? And they were 6 when we finally separated. So I needed to make sure that I'm raising young men and that he's raising young men that know what a respectful, loving relationship was and what their father and I were doing wasn't that any longer.
What was their response when you kind of sat them down, I assume, and had that
Yeah.
conversation with
It was
them?
heartbreaking.
Yeah,
I remember, I mean, even they're only 6 years old at this point, but they're old enough to kind of recognize that there's going to be a separation.
for sure.
And I remember one of our twins kind of started crying, and he said, "Well, can you at least buy houses beside each other so that we can
Oh,
just go back and forth whenever we want?"
oh.
Right? And then he started crying. Their dad started crying. I was crying. The other twin, who isn't as emotionally, mature at that moment, was kind of like overwhelmed, and he
Mhm.
was like, "I need to go for a nap." So it was funny because I still remember I went upstairs and went for a nap with one twin. He went downstairs and napped with another, and I think we were all out cold for like 2 hours because we
Yeah.
were emotionally
Exhausted,
overloaded.
for sure,
Yeah.
for sure.
So, but I have to tell you, the amount of people that often say to my ex and I, "How are you doing this?" Because they
Yeah.
see that our kids are well adjusted and it's their normal. My ex husband's at my house right now because one of them is sick. And I said, "Listen, I'm going to be away. Can you just go and hang out with him, check on him, make sure he's okay? Because he can be home
Yeah.
alone." Yeah, no problem. So he's there, right? If I need to go on vacation or if I need to go travel for speaking or whatever it is, it's either him or my parents. So, we have that collaborative approach and it's so important for our kids.
That is so important. And like also I'm just trying to imagine myself in your shoes
Hmm.
and based on, people who I also know are divorced. It seems impossible,
Yeah.
Calissa. Like
Yes.
how do you get there?
It was a work in progress. It was not instantaneous. There was a lot of anger and distrust at the end. And, it came to a point when he would come pick up the kids, that he wouldn't even come inside the house. He would just wait outside.
Mhm.
And to be honest with you, even now, I still invite him to Christmas, to Easter, to all the birthdays. So he's commingling, with my family. But it took a beat to get there. And from his standpoint, from what he told me, is he thought that my family was going to treat him differently. So he didn't
Mhm.
really want to be involved. But I told him, this is good for the kids. And when you have a partner eventually, they'll be invited too. And my partner, like I want this to be not necessarily a big, happy family. I don't think that's realistic,
Mhm.
but at least where there's that respect piece of being together. And to be honest with you, at least for me, I don't want to speak for him. But for me, the moment that the divorce papers were in my mailbox and I saw that red seal and it was official, it was like I called him and I said, "Did you get it?" And he goes, "I did." And I said, "So like we're officially done."
Mhm.
And I thanked him in that moment. And I wanted to hold space for emotion. And I said, I do want to thank you for the time that we did spend together. And I also am very aware, what it's taking for us to be in a relationship as friends and as co-parents now. And I hope that never changes. Right. And he was reciprocal. So
Yeah,
again, we're a work in progress. We don't always see eye to eye on everything,
for
but I'll
sure.
take it for what we have.
Well, that's like an emotionally, apt and
Hmm.
a mature response to kind of approach. You set the
Hmm.
tone, it sounds like, for what, it was going to
Yes.
be. And he followed suit, which is
Hmm.
really nice,
Yeah.
which is really nice. For you, now going back a little bit further,
Hmm.
like what was your relationship or I guess mentality around divorce. Like some people grow up with a mentality of like, that's not an option.
Hmm.
Like I will stick it out to the end. This is how I was raised, whether it be with religion, with parents,
Hmm.
who knows. What was like your relationship around that?
Well, I actually grew up in a home where I went to church. So, I was taught that divorce is evil,
Yeah.
not necessarily from my parents, but from the church.
Yeah.
And, you need to stick it out. And it's a really old school mentality, right? The
Mm-hmm.
50s, the 60s, the 70s, where even if you're not happy, it doesn't matter. You're there for the kids.
Right.
You're not there for yourself, which now
Right.
we know that adage is so like offside. My parents actually separated for a few years. Yes, when
Wow.
I was 8 or 9 years old. And my dad ended up staying in Ontario with my brother, and I was in British Columbia with my mom for like 3 years. We ended up coming back to Ontario, and my parents did get back together.
Wow.
Yeah, and I will say, and I can say this because they've told me it's okay. They were together for us at the beginning, but then they really did find themselves back to one another because there was that core love and those core values that they shared, and they're still happily married. Their anniversary is in
Wow.
a couple of weeks, and it's what is it, 82, 43 years. Yeah, it'll be
Wow.
43 years in
What
November.
a
Yeah,
story.
I know.
I've never heard of that
I
before.
know. So it's wild and it's rare. And, for me personally, because I still go to church and I still believe and I really feel that God had a part in that. And that's why they're still together. Right. And
Mm-hmm.
I think with my own marriage, even though, it didn't last, I'm very thankful for the lessons that I learned because of it.
Wow.
Hmm.
That's really amazing. Happy anniversary to them.
Yeah. Thank
That's
you.
so cool.
It is.
I honestly, in asking you that question, I was like, I wonder if this would lead to anything. Like,
Yeah.
but I'm gonna ask it just because I'm curious. So that's amazing. And when you told your parents that
Hmm.
you were gonna make this decision,
Hmm.
what was their response?
They knew that we weren't in a great place.
Yeah.
But my parents are always very supportive of the decisions that I make. They know I'm an independent woman and I'm very confident. And when I make up my mind, maybe it's a Sagittarius in me, like I'm done, right? Like when I cut you off, I cut you off.
Uh-huh.
And I had the conversation and they only asked me once, "Are you sure?" And then when I said, "Yes, I can't do this anymore," then they said, "Okay, we fully support you." And they still love him.
Beautiful.
They still see him as their son-in-law, very respectful. But they knew that he wasn't the man for me any longer.
Mm-hmm. Wow, that's really nice to be able to have that support from your
Hmm.
family. I think that's huge.
It is. It's really big because it's a monumental decision. You're deciding to be a single parent.
Mm-hmm.
You're deciding to raise these young men, without any support 24/7. So you need to be okay with that realization. So having all the support from friends and family is really pinnacle.
And for you, what was it like kind of getting that support, getting on your
Hmm.
feet, making those decisions, taking those steps? Because like I said, I know people who have thought about it, are doing it, and it's really not
Hmm.
easy,
No,
but
it's
worth
not.
it.
It is. It is. But you have to know you're going to come out of this the other side as long as you put that work in. And for me, it was a little bit depressing at the beginning. I remember a girlfriend the very first weekend that I didn't have my children because we split them 50-50. And I was sad. And she had couriered over a bottle of wine and some food and with a
Aw.
personalized note that just basically said, "You've got this, mama." Right? And
Aw.
I've
I have goosebumps.
never,
That's so
I
sweet.
know, I've never forgotten that, because for her to acknowledge that space for me was really important, right?
Mm-hmm.
So, and I think that whole weekend I spent in bed, just Netflix and Uber and Eats and all the things, right? So, but yeah, now, my kids are safe. Like I know that they're fine with their father. I don't need to do check-ins or anything. If they need me, they'll text me, right?
Mm-hmm.
And he also lives very close to me. So it's convenient. So I can live my life,
Mm-hmm.
without them always being at the forefront, which is also important.
That is important. Let's talk about that for a
Yeah.
second because that's hard to come to an
Hmm.
understanding of as well because guilt and shame is a
Hmm.
huge part of that too, right?
Hmm. I'm a better parent when I can have space for my kids.
It makes me
So,
feel better hearing you say something like
hmm
that because I feel like I don't have kids, but I'm gonna
hmm
be that kind of mom where I'm like,
yep.
I love you, but I need you to be over there right now.
Listen, mat leave for me was over at 10 and a half months. I
Yeah.
was done. I needed to go back to work.
Uh-huh.
I knew that being a stay-at-home mom is an extremely difficult job.
It
And
is the hardest job.
they don't get enough credit. They
No.
absolutely do not.
No.
But that was never my role. I could
Mhm.
never be that. And I knew that. I needed them to be in daycare. I needed a break. And that was for my own personal mental health. And maybe not everybody agrees with that, but I know myself enough
Yeah.
when I need a break.
That's what you needed.
Right. right? And then when my kids, are at the end of the day, I see them after school, it's great, right? It's like we're all refreshed, we're lucky to be in relationship together. But I think, single moms have this extra layer of guilt. And it's also not lost on me that I'm in a unique situation. Not every single mom has a co-parent as involved as I do.
Right.
Right. So he's with them all the time, when
Mm-hmm.
I'm unable to be, and for his 50% of the time and more. So I know a lot of single moms that are doing it by themselves or
Mm-hmm.
with, every other weekend help. I couldn't imagine. I honestly couldn't imagine. And kudos to them
Mm-hmm.
to be able to navigate that, because that's tough.
It is really tough,
Mm-hmm.
which is why, like, you credit the village around you who
Mm-hmm.
can, whether you build it, you build your own village. It
Mm-hmm.
doesn't have to be necessarily family. It could be friends, could be colleagues, who knows, but it's having that support
Mm-hmm.
around you is really important.
Oh, absolutely. And I also, this word triggers some people, but therapy is so important. And we need to stop stigmatizing it, because you need to be able to speak to somebody that's not connected to you and can give you the tips, tricks, and tools as to how to navigate your new normal.
How has that changed your life?
Oh my goodness, it's been monumental. So I self-identify as being neurospicy.
No, I like
Yeah.
that.
So I have ADHD and anxiety. So I'm an inspirational speaker that travels the world speaking, but I have anxiety. Make that make sense?
Yeah, tell me.
But I thrive.
But actually, it does make
Yeah,
sense.
I thrive in front of a crowd of 3,000 people when I'm speaking. I love it. I'm engaged. But then when I'm done peopling, I need to kind of retreat because I'm an extroverted introvert.
That's me.
Yeah.
I say that all the time. In my job, in my day to day, I am so extroverted where I'm
Mhm.
around people. I ask a million questions. This is like what I do. I'm in front of a big crowd sometimes. And then when I go home, when my mom calls me, and I love my mom so much, but she'll be like, "So how did it go?" I'll be like, "Mom, I love you so much, but let's talk another time. I really
Yes.
need to decompress and just not speak or say anything right now for like
But
a couple
good
hours."
for you for setting that boundary,
Yeah.
because some of us have a hard time with that,
Yeah.
right? And one of the things, and I actually mentioned this in my book, is that no is a complete sentence. And we need to start embracing that. Right. So, whether it's dating, relationships, marriage, single motherhood, all the things, we need to start as women and as men holding space for ourselves.
Why is that so hard to do? Like, why is that so hard?
It is hard because we live in a world that glorifies exhaustion,
Yeah.
right? And we live in a world where hustle culture is real, and it's the norm, right? We continually wear burnout like a badge of honor.
It is.
Yeah.
It's like if you aren't doing 1,700 things and say that you're exhausted, then you're
Yeah.
really not thriving. You're not doing enough.
Yeah, you're not thriving in anything. Are you
No.
really working hard?
Right.
And we need to stop judging one another and start lifting each other up and having open conversations about what that looks like.
What does that look like? How do you approach that?
Well, for me, self-care is important, and I will die on this hill. Nobody does not have 5 or 10 minutes a day that you can keep to yourself. I don't care if
Yeah.
you're in the bathroom doom scrolling Instagram.
Yeah.
Find what sparks joy for you. If you can get out for a walk, take a nap, yoga, meditation, golf, massage, whatever it is. So for me, this is sort of my routine. And I know not everybody can do this, and that's okay, but this is what works for me. Is Fridays are my self-care day. So on Fridays, whenever I can, unless I'm traveling, I actually go for a 1-hour therapy session. So I'm working myself out cognitively, and then I follow it with a 90-minute massage. So then I'm working myself out
Nice.
physically.
Calissa, that
I
sounds
know.
like heaven.
I know.
It's like you work through some stuff, then you're really exhausted.
Then release it.
Yeah, and then you release it all and you work it all out. That's what it
Yes.
is.
Yeah.
Oh, that's really nice. I think it's important to say, as you're pointing out, self-care looks different for everybody.
Mhm.
Like, yes, meditation works for some people, but it doesn't for others, and so on and so forth. Like maybe a hobby, like everybody has their thing. It's just like leaning into and figuring out what that is for you, that's that peace time for you.
And also not feeling guilty about taking that time to do it.
Yeah.
I think in society, it's like, I need to help everybody else before I help, like myself. And that's not true. And that's where my oxygen mask mindset comes in, is take care of yourself before you take care of anyone else. You need to.
I just think I really do believe that, like, you show up better
Mm-hmm.
for everybody else around you, including yourself, most importantly, when you do have that time. Like, I notice myself, even when I don't have that time for myself, I get like irritable, I get snappy. I'm like the hangry version of me.
Yes. And
Which
can we
no
just
one
say,
wants to be around, okay?
hangry's a real emotion. I feel that shit in my soul.
Yes,
Okay.
it is. Me too. I do too. And I just become that person constantly until I like have that retreat time. Because I know myself enough to know that, that's important to
Hmm.
me. And
Absolutely.
now in your mental health journey, how did you kind of discover that this was a path for you? And this is
Hmm.
something that, I mean, I think through the years, if anything that we've noticed, it's become more and more important. And I think more and more addressed and talked about
Hmm.
in society.
So for me, working in mental health has always been a calling. If anyone who's followed me online and has seen my stories, I've talked about the struggle with mental health in my family. So my mom has severe depression. I'm adopted. So not only does my adopted mom have it, but my biological mother also has mental illness. So I literally have had mental illness from conception. So it's something that I've had to deal with and learn how to navigate. And, I've had friends and family members, and I just knew that my purpose in life was to help those that need it the most. But I needed to kind of understand, what does that look like and how can I contribute to that? And
Hmm.
at an early age, I was working at the Boys and Girls Club and the YMCA and summer
Wow.
camps and all the things. And when I graduated high school, I was actually the last year to have OAC. So I graduated in the double cohort, which meant not only was grade 13 graduating, but grade 12 as well. So in that moment, I felt I'm not getting into university or college. Like, there's double the competition. So let me take a year off. Now, in that moment, I thought, let me be a flight attendant, or let me go work on a cruise ship, or do something fun.
Yeah.
None of that happened. I ended up getting a job at a residential treatment facility for
Wow.
troubled youth.
Wow.
And I never looked back. So after that, I ended up going to school later on. I worked for Children's Aid and Child Protection and foster family support, and now I'm in private practice. I've worked in hospitals and group homes, all the things. So, for me, I know I'm really good at what I do. And it's because not only do I have the professional experience, but I have the lived experience as well.
Yeah, no kidding. There's nothing better than being able to relate to
Hmm.
someone who is in that scenario. I mean, how often do you hear people be like, you can't tell me that. You have no idea what it's like. No, I actually
Yeah,
do know what
yeah.
it's like.
Hold on, hang on.
Yeah, yeah. Wow.
Yeah.
What has that journey been like? I mean, you've probably seen so many different kinds of people walk through your door.
One of the things that I've struggled with is becoming that overprotective mother because of the terrible things that I've seen, especially working in child protection.
For
So,
sure.
it wasn't until really, I think not even a year ago, just a few months ago, that I started letting my kids do sleepovers. Sleepover scared me because I'm like, I know what happens, what can
Yeah,
happen.
yeah.
And it was really my ex-husband that had to kind of sit me down and be like, you need to let these kids live too. Like, they can't be in
Hmm.
a bubble. Because at his house, they're allowed to walk to the park and hang out with their kids. And here I am like, nope, 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 you can't do that. You're not allowed.
Yeah.
But again, it's like, okay, but if you put them in a bubble, then that's all the existence that they're going to know. And they're not going to learn, right? They're
Hmm.
not going to be able to recognize what danger is. So I've had to work this out in therapy, right? And try and figure out, okay, but why are you being so triggered? Yes, you're trying to be protective, but what are those inside parts of you that need to be healed because of
Mm.
the childhood traumas that you went through? Right. So it's like this ongoing circle of intervention, that I need for myself. But I also know that it helps me show up better for my clients, for my students, for my friends and my family.
I like that you said it's ongoing
Hmm.
because I think, and I myself am included in this, honestly, the first time that I went to therapy like was after like a breakup. It was
Hmm.
when I was feeling really horrible. Um, and I felt like, okay, I did the work. I'm better now. I'm good.
Hmm.
And that
Yeah.
was kind of it. And more recently, I have kind of asked myself like, maybe I should return back to this.
Hmm.
Even if it's like, it doesn't have to be super frequent, but like frequent enough to have check ins with self to
Hmm.
make sure that you're good, you
Yeah. Are
know?
your feelings, your body, your emotion aligned?
Hmm.
Right? Because a lot of us as humans carry a lot of our stress in our bodies, right? So it shows up
And that's
with
illness.
detachment. Oh, yeah, 100%. Like, sometimes people feel like, well, if you don't look sick, then you can't be sick,
Yeah.
right? But there's an invisibility factor to this as well. Not everybody knows what's going on. I mean, social media is a really good example of that. Johnny and Sally have a perfect marriage. They're traveling, the Amalfi Coast, all these things,
Mm-hmm.
loving couple. And then the next week they're getting a divorce. And it's like, what the hell happened?
Yeah.
I thought you were perfect.
Yeah.
It's because people show you what they want you to see. Right. And I get that. I mean, like some of it we want to keep close. Not everybody needs to know everything about you,
Mm-hmm.
but it really lends itself to this distorted view of what everybody's reality is. And we
Mm-hmm.
need to start talking about the fact that sometimes it's okay to not be okay. Just don't live there.
Yeah. Oh, that's good. I
Mm-hmm.
like that.
Mm-hmm.
You hear it's okay to not be okay, but
Yeah.
just not to live there.
Yeah. Yeah. And there's no timeline on grief. And grief doesn't necessarily mean a death of a person. It could be the finalization of a relationship, a job, some sort of toxic situation. And again, there is no timeline on getting through grief, right? But if we live there, then it's not going to be for your betterment.
Mm-hmm. You have to find a way out,
Mm-hmm.
or again, look for resources to help you
Mm-hmm.
do that if you feel like you yourself can't, which is where I was at.
Mm-hmm.
Because I had really supportive friends and family. And then I was like, it's just not doing it for me. Like
Mm-hmm.
there's something, I'm still not okay. Like this isn't enough for me. I'm still feeling like this. So
Yeah. Oh, that's normal. Even for professionals. For me to find a therapist is really difficult
I find
because,
that too. Honestly,
yeah.
I'm kind of picky.
I'm very picky, but we're
I'm
allowed
like,
to
yeah,
be,
yeah.
right? If I'm going to spill my soul to you,
Hmm.
my biggest thing is I need you to be smarter than me. So I can't be able to manipulate you or give you the answers that I think, I should be telling you. I
Right.
need someone that can actually break through my hard exterior because I don't like showing emotion. I don't. I feel
Have you always been like that?
100%.
Yeah.
Like, I don't want to be vulnerable because you're going to break my heart.
Mm.
Right. So I remember I went for a Reiki session once and this lady blew my mind. And she essentially just told me, the reason that you have struggled in certain relationships is, yes, because of some childhood trauma that you've gone through, but also you're adopted. So you're still trying to find home.
Yeah.
Right. And I'm like, I'm still trying to find home. Yeah, because like I'm adopted. So like how come I wasn't wanted, in my mind frame, or I'm divorced. How come, that didn't work out? So it's like trying to resonate and reconcile all these things that are happening and trying to make them make sense.
How do you make that make sense? Because
Mhm.
that's really heavy and very
Mhm.
hard to deal with and carry with you
Mhm.
in life.
For me, it was finally giving myself permission to grieve all of the traumas and relationships that I went through. And also to understand that I need to accept apologies that will never be given to me.
That's tough.
Mhm.
That's
Mhm.
really tough.
It is.
Can I ask, Calissa,
Mhm.
do you know your biological mom?
Oh, that's another podcast episode.
Okay. I hear you,
Yeah.
which we will do.
Yes, I know my biological family.
Yeah.
That is a story in itself. I found them when I was 18 years old.
Wow.
And so I found my biological mother, father, and found out about siblings I didn't know that I had.
Wow.
I was only made aware because I was a baby when I was adopted. So I was only made aware of one sibling who's 14 years older than me. And I can tell you she's my person. So
Aw.
we are thick as thieves. We travel together. I
Wow.
call her when I need her for anything and vice versa. She is the love of my life, until somebody comes and changes that. And my children, of course. But, it was to finally have a biological connection, someone that looks like me, someone who acts like me. We finish each other's sentences. When we're thinking the same thing, we just have to look at each other. And it's wild because
Wow.
we didn't grow up together. I didn't meet her until, I was 18,
That's wild.
Yeah.
There's something deeper, DNA, genetics that
Yes.
ties you guys together. That's really, really special.
Yeah, it is. It is. And I don't take it for granted.
In kind of doing the work to heal those parts of you, what has been, I'd say, like, what has been the biggest kind of learning lesson that you want to carry over and like teach your kids?
So I did a speaking event this week and I had a question posed to me, and it was a really good one. And they essentially said to me, if you had one word to describe your journey and what your thought process is right now with everything that you're doing,
Mm-hmm.
what is that one word? And it's legacy. And the reason I choose that word is because I'm building something for my kids and I'm also building something for myself.
Mm-hmm.
It's finally getting rid of that imposter syndrome and recognizing that I am enough and that I am worthy and that I have so much to give this world. And I need my kids to see that, understand that, feel that, and support it.
That's really beautiful. What do they say? Because you're a rockin' mom.
So, what's funny? If you want to be humbled, have children. I'm like, hey guys, mommy's going to be on global news and breakfast television. And they're like, oh, are they going to pay you? like,
The
hey,
concern is
right?
money.
Right? Or like, hey guys, mommy just wrote her first book. Okay,
Yeah.
but how much are you going to make? Right? And it's
That's
like,
so
how about
funny.
you're just excited? So
Yeah.
I had a moment. I just spoke at an event called Rally. So
Oh,
it was,
yes. I have Bridget on here.
Oh my God.
Bridget's
she is
the best.
incredible.
I just love her.
She's incredible. So she
my
invited
gosh,
me, her and Keith.
amazing.
Yes. So it was the largest, almost 3,000 people. So
That's
I
incredible.
did a 7-minute speech and they allowed me to bring my twins with me. So they got to skip the day of school. And it wasn't until I got home that I watched one of them had taped a video and they sent it to me. And in the video at the beginning, you can hear him say, "That's my mama."
Aww.
In that moment was when I was like, oh, they are paying attention and they do care. And that was
Mhm.
really big for me.
That's so special. So Calissa, tell me about your book right now. I know you've mentioned it a little bit of the themes and whatnot that it's, but tell me more.
So this book is a framework that I created out of a space of burnout. So the name of the book is called The Oxygen Mask Mindset. So it's about reclaiming your energy in a world that glorifies exhaustion. The whole premise is that we really do need to take care of ourselves before we take care of others. And I really needed it to be a book that is not a one and done. So the whole point of this book is for you to pick it up whenever you need it. And with my ADHD brain, I've crafted the chapters so that there's a lot of them, but they're very short. So most of them are 5 to 7 pages in length, right? So I get to the point. If you're having moments of I'm burning out or I feel like I need this, I need that, it really gives you the tips, tricks, and tools as to how to get through that and in your own space. And I even have a chapter for our neurospicy folks because self-care looks differently for them.
Right.
So I talk about self-care not needing to cost any money. Right? And having those open conversations. Earlier, we mentioned about no being a complete sentence. So I really want people to feel comfortable and know that you're not the only one. Burnout is amongst us, and it's the number one cause of stressful situations. Right? And why is that? Like, what are we doing as a society that we're uplifting people in stressful situations instead of saying, you know what, hold on. It's okay for you to rest and take space.
It's so true. I know so many people that, like you make plans at the end of the week, let's just say, on
Yep.
like a Friday night, right? You've had like a hell of a week. And the last thing you want to do is go out
No,
on a
thank
Friday
you.
night. But you feel bad because you're like, I committed to these plans. I don't want to bail. I can't tell you the amount of times that I have done that. And then I push myself to go and I'm exhausted. I'm not like fully there. My mind's not there. I'm not really enjoying myself the same way that I should. It's like, why didn't I just say no?
And, one of the things that I mention is boundaries don't make you weak. They make you sustainable. Right. And I think our social battery is low by the end of the week. I'm the same way. When plans get canceled, I'm not mad about it.
No.
I'm like, thank goodness I can just go in my PJs and not have to worry about anything.
Yeah.
In the book, I also have these things called oxygen mask moments. So at the end, it's kind of like a reflection of what have we
Ask
talked
yourself
about.
questions.
Yes. Where did this land for you? And there are going to be points in the book where it might feel a little bit heavy. So at that point, it's okay to put it down, right? You don't need to continue until you have the space and ability to do that. And I really want people to just check in with themselves because there's a lot of people that are going through burnout and don't realize it until it's too late and it's a crisis situation. So the idea is that you're going to catch it first, whether it's within yourself, within your coworkers, your friends, your family. It's meant for everybody from single mom to corporate exec.
I love that. Thank you so much. That's
Hmm.
great for tools and resources to have like
Yes.
kind of in your repertoire and have it on standby should you feel like
Absolutely.
it's
Pull it out
coming.
every
Yeah.
time you need it.
Right? Okay, so what's your next book? Cuz I feel like there's going to be another one as well.
There will be. I think I have a few books in me. I think I do. This one was really work focused, so that I bring it when I'm speaking, and because it's such a stigmatized thing, this whole burnout. So I wanted to speak to that. One of my next books is going to be a children's book because I've
Oh,
always in my heart,
beautiful.
yes, wanted to write a children's book. So I don't quite know what that's going to look like. It may be about one of my speeches that I've done. It may be around the oxygen mask mindset. And then I also want to do a memoir. So I want to really talk about my life because there's some sass in there. So there's some grit, there's some trauma, all of the things. And I really think when I'm ready emotionally to kind
Mhm.
of pen to paper, then I'm gonna take that next step.
Yeah, that is cathartic being
Hmm.
able to go through that and you have a whole big life.
I do, and it's still going.
That's still going, but honestly, you're a really special individual and you really do have this light about you when you walk into a room and this energy that you radiate.
Thank
And
you.
often I can say like a lot of people that maybe have gone through what you
Hmm.
haven't turned out like
Hmm.
and had the mental strength and
Hmm.
accountability and, drive to be great and the
Hmm.
best version of yourself. So I commend you for that. And it really is super inspiring.
You know what? For me, if I can help just one person that's gone from trauma to triumph, right? From victim to valor, it's important. Rome wasn't built in a day. We're all a work in progress. But, one of my favorite sayings that I penned was that, you are the author of your own story, but stop giving other people the pen.
Mm, that's beautiful.
Hmm.
Well done.
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, where can people find information, follow you, watch you, listen to you, buy your book, all of
Yes,
it?
all of the things. So my book, you can actually find it on Amazon. I actually self-recorded as well on audiobook because some people prefer
Oh, I
that.
love
Yeah,
that.
so it's on Audible. You can also find it on Indigo, and it'll be in stores shortly. And then you can follow me on all my socials. So Instagram, LinkedIn, and it's at Calissa Ngozi, or my website, www.calissaungazi.com.
Fantastic. Thank you so much for your time.
Oh, thank you for having me. It was fun.